Monica has always warned me that one day my idealism would get the better of me. Maybe that day is today. I believe I could have handled the situation better. But the gall, the sheer nerve, the unapologetic grins in their faces, the arrogance and callousness. Alfonso, nothing more than a mediocre man with delusions, showing off his greed and imagined power, flaunting his wealth, happy to pillage the workers, wring his company of its profits to the point of near collapse, selling out to our enemies for his own personal gain. And Manger, that lackey, slippery as an eel, grovelling, winding, worming his way into the graces of the so-called elites, all in the face of the people starving, their roofs leaking, their fathers choking, having to work in toxic, dilapidated facilities, giving their lives such that these parasites can add another shiny glass door behind which to drink with their foreign accomplices. They truly are nothing but scum. Take a deep breath. Now is not the time. The crowd at the door is out for blood and in no mood to talk. Trust in Serge. Control your emotions. Composure. Tomorrow will be another day. But I swear by all that is holy that I will bring the law down on these people or die trying. Yeah, Anton has lost his composure a little bit in the last round with Alfonso and Gus. And the situation outside apparently is getting out of hand as the people are ready to take matters into their own. And Anton is no longer a Red Youth member who would be happy to pick up the baton on the streets and march against the oppressors. But he does have his responsibilities. So, trying to calm down from the righteous anger, let's quickly go through the situation before, I believe, we are going to have to leave the facility. I'll be seen dead before I get into a helicopter with Alfonso, but okay, before that, we've got a few reports and we've got some news to quickly go through. So let's see what's up. The Bludish Freedom Front is under new leadership. Security forces have gathered intel regarding a hidden meeting among local leaders of the separatist group Bludish Freedom Front that occurred a few days ago. It is suspected that they have elected a new leader in the meeting, Avlan Arg, who is the brother of the infamous former leader Dulan Arg. This development could have serious implications for national security, as the BFF has been known to use violent means to achieve their goals. The situation calls for increased surveillance and intelligence gathering to prevent any potential threats posed by the organization and its new leadership. The last thing we needed is an uprising of the Bludish people in Bergia, but the overall security situation, certain and foreign support, probably from Rumburg, certainly, is assisting with these kind of motions. And I wouldn't be surprised if that happened as well. But for now, we have bigger problems. We have an angry mob outside the door who demands who demands improved labor situations. Now, I am all for strikes. Strike is the right of the worker against the oppressive capitalist. But at the same time, we have to negotiate. We cannot just go out and beat each other up, because that is no good either. So I think Gus, as much as I despise him, was actually right in that it would probably be better to remove myself from the scene and then organize a meeting with the leadership of the labor union and the communists and assure them of my full support once the situation on the ground is no longer this explosive. But let's see what goes on in the news before we decide how we get out of this one. The decision to step back from investing in Gazprom is a shameful display for our nation. The Holsort Post views this as an open door for foreign influence, while others see it as a missed chance for Sordland to bolster its domestic energy sector. As the debate rages, one thing is clear: the implications of this decision will continue to spark intense discord. I have not stepped back from investing in Gazprom. With that Well, it could be interpreted as such, I guess, but I never really was given the option to invest in Gazprom. This is probably a result of my righteous rage at that. But Alfonso basically had the door slammed down already at that point, and Gus was trying to weasel something out still, but asking me to give him his full trust, yeah, nah, not with the amount of personal investment he has into things. Hands-off approach opens Gazprom to foreigners. The Sordland government has opted for a hands-off strategy regarding its investment in Gazprom. This decision, which sees Rizia and other potential foreign entities stepping into the fray, has intrigued economic analysts. The move could potentially draw investors from nations like Rumborg, adding a new dimension to the ongoing situation. This hands-off approach marks a shift in Sordland's investment strategies and could chart a new course for future ventures. They're making it sound like I had the option to do this, and I actively rejected this. Also, well, Alfonso really never gave the opening for that. They were planning something, but yeah. Look, at the end of the day, this is probably Anton's. So all newspapers seem to be rather interested in this. This is on Anton's. This is on Anton. What happened here? But like I said, could have probably been handled better. Still, we have the foreign investment may come in. Foreign investment they're making it sound like we had the option to help out the company, and we let it go, and it's now going to be sold off to foreigners. We still have the Energy Protection Act in place, and I am still looking into potentially nationalizing Gazprom and getting the maggot Alfonso out from there. So this may be a temporary situation, but we'll see what options we're going to be having. Sordland's decision to refrain from Gazprom's investment has drawn flack from various quarters. Critics argue this approach betrays our domestic energy sector and squanders a golden opportunity for revitalization. They express concern that our government's decision to let other nations take the lead could potentially compromise Sordland's economic sovereignty. Again, they don't know what I'm up to. I am fully planning to nationalize Gazprom and get Alfonso out of there, given provided I get the option. And to be honest, it wasn't really an option in the first place. I don't know if I had put my faith in Gus and his slimy, wormy ways, that he would have managed to funnel government. My assumption is he would have funneled government budget into Gazprom for the enrichment of Alfonso mostly. And that kind of goes counter towards the eventual goals that I'm having here. Sordland backs away from Gazprom, says the Radical. Sordland government's choice to avoid investment in Gazprom has sent shockwaves through the political landscape. This strategic blunder represents a lost opportunity to fortify our domestic energy sector and secure our economic prosperity. The government's failure to shoulder responsibility in this critical moment poses significant concerns about its commitment to our nation's economic welfare. So if I'm reading this correctly, this was sort of a pivotal thing in the game, and that was not quite clear to me that it was that, because we're getting flack from the whole political spectrum now. So it wasn't quite clear that it was that it was that do or die, that much of a do or die moment right there. Didn't quite see that in the conversation. So interesting that the implications of this are so significant. Rather, because it didn't necessarily sound like it's not that the company is being sold off to foreigners, right? Yes, they might be getting foreign investment, all right? The foreigners get a share. Foreigners already have a say in the company. We've seen the headquarters. It's run by foreign entities. The path forward is not to join them. and to clink champagne with them for successful enrichment of the management group and their respective backers. No, the path forward is autarky, and autarky comes through nationalization. That is the plan here. So, yeah, not entirely sure. That did not sound that momentous of a decision to me, but okay. In hindsight, apparently it was. So, well, we're gonna have to live with it. I am fully assuming the comment section from the last video, because I'm recording this ahead actually. I'm fully assuming the comment section from the last video to be completely up in arms about this. But look, it's a blind playthrough, decisions being made, and I'm gonna go with it. So we'll see where the story leads us. Anyway, for now, we have to actually get out of the Gassam facility and get out of Narbel. All right. A volatile situation has emerged outside the Gassam facility, with a sizable crowd of protesters amassing. Their grievances, fueled by underlying tensions, present a complex scenario for us to navigate. The decisions on our course of action could dramatically influence the outcome of this situation. I have two options. I am not flying away with Alfonso's helicopter. That is ridiculous. After all of that, I'm getting in his helicopter, and the press sees me stepping out of the helicopter with that guy. After instead of facing the workers and their grievances. What concerns me a bit is that Serge seems to be worried. So he seems to assess the situation as volatile as well. But we only have two options. We can either fly out with a helicopter, which really is not something that Anton would do, or we try to address the protesters and try to leave via car with Serge. So we've got a sizable crowd of protesters. We've got police outside. We've got a volatile situation. The grievances, fueled by underlying tensions, present a complex scenario for us to navigate. Decisions on our course of action could dramatically influence the outcome of this situation. So the game's basically telling me here that what I choose to do here has a significant outcome, significant influence on how this situation further develops. So if I fly away with the helicopter, I'm basically abandoning the worker and showing the world that I am part of the corrupt elite. So I really don't have a choice. I'm going to have to address the protesters and leave via the car. Let's see what comes out of that. Okay. Yeah, there we go. As we stepped out of the towering front gate of the Gassam facility, I immediately became aware of how tense the situation was. Gasminder stood by my right, his silhouette barely distinguishable from the monolithic edifice behind us. Monolithic edifice is a good term. Serge stood to my left, his eyes scanning the crowd with the precision of a hawk. The Gassam security had drawn their weapons in anticipation, forming a bristling wall around the perimeter. My presidential guard, in stark contrast, stood tall and unflinching at the entrance, shielding us from the sea of angry workers surrounding us. The shouts of the crowd were deafening, the hostility palpable. Stahler and Horton stood at the forefront with fire in their eyes. With a deep breath, I prepared to address them. Gus extended a megaphone towards me. Good grief. Today my team and I are here to listen and... Oh yeah, no, that's corporate speech for we're not going to do anything. My fellow swords, our presence today is not a guarantee for instant change, but rather an effort to better understand the complexity of the issues at hand. Good people of Narbel, we're here not to placate you with false promises, but to honestly assess the reality and work towards practical solutions. Before any of you do anything too rash, I want you to take a good look around you. Neither of these options is what I would like to say, because these people are not in the mood for political waffling. And prosperity for all its workers. Ensure Okay, this might actually, first option actually might not be that bad. Our team and I are here to listen and engage. We are here to ensure Gasum becomes a beacon of growth, fairness, and prosperity for all of its workers. So this is actually about the workers. Our presence today is not a guarantee for instant change, but rather an effort to better understand. So this is like, your business is very important to us. Please hold the line. We're here not to placate you with false promises, but to honestly assess the reality and work towards practical solutions. That actually feels pretty on point. And it's like, don't do anything rash. I'm warning you. Look around you. We've got people with guns here. I think this is a threat, so I'm going to exclude that one. 2, I'm excluding as well. That leaves 1 or 3. We are here not to placate you with false promises, but to honestly assess the reality and work towards practical solutions. Yeah, it's like, I think that's the most honest one to say. This is kind of jargony. This is the most honest one to say. It's just like, we're here for you, and we're not just going to make some promises that we can't keep, but we want to see what the reality is and find out solutions. Okay. Let's turn this impasse into an opportunity. That's once again managerial speak. We recognize that words are not enough, and only through concrete action can we begin to address the challenges you face. Yes. Today's visit, let's be clear, does not mean all your problems will disappear overnight. It's an initial step to gauge the scope of the issue. So 1 is out, leaves me with 2 and 3. I think 2 is a good one. Concrete action would be something that we need to take here. And yes, the nationalization of Gasum. I don't think I can announce that just like this, but ideally I would, let's say we can't do anything about Gasum. We can still do something about the situation of the people. We can do a workers' rights bill. We can see if we can do a government investment in the region and take, because one thing that really irked me about the whole Gasum discussion was, besides the obviously almost comical behavior of Gus at this point, was that we were trying to get Alfonso to effectively take over basic services. So housing, education, these sort of things. That has nothing to do with Gasum. In fact, Gasum taking up housing is almost feels like a setup for sort of blackmail kind of thing, where you'd say, oh yeah, you're working for Gasum, we've paid your house, you better not act up or talk back, otherwise what has been given can be taken away. This gives Gasum way too much influence and power. This is a government thing. So ideally, the plan forward, given that apparently we have abandoned Gasum, which wasn't quite clear to me to be fair from the conversation, but okay. Still, basic services are part of just government, of my government responsibilities. So that's, I think, would be the plan that I would announce, to say we are behind you. We are ready to enact legislation to force Gasum into fair payment and to improve workers' rights. We will be investigating any kind of misdeeds, and anybody who's criminally liable will be held accountable. And we will be adding additional government investment for improvement of basic services in the area. We'll fix the roads, we'll build hospitals, that sort of thing. So we recognize that words are not enough, and only through concrete action can we begin to address the challenges you face. Empty words, Rain. You've shown us nothing concrete today. We're fed up with your hollow rhetoric. Well, I haven't even had an opportunity. All talk and no action, isn't it, Mr. President? How long must the workers wait for real change? Why are you angry at me? Excuse me? What? Okay, I'm honestly a little confused. So I've read this a few times now, and I feel like I'm missing something. So far, I'm gonna step away from the character of Anton here for a minute. But so far the game has been, well, kind of oftentimes a little bit horse before the carriage before the horse sort of style things, where things haven't been happening in the order I would want them to happen. Like I said, my complaints about things like anti-corruption and similar situations. But it's usually been reasonably sensible that I would be given to understand the situation and then make decisions based on that. This I don't get. This is the first time that I'm sort of in a scenario here that I really don't get, because these people, was there a public announcement that I would be the chief negotiator for the strike situation? This all has nothing to do with me. This was a meeting that was organized by Gus at the behest of Alfonso to effectively get some government money for the company. Why are these two so angry? Specifically, that Anton is has made communist or at least pro-worker statements. We've been doing emergency relief funding of people. We're working on improvement of infrastructure and hospitals. So why are they out for my blood here? It's not that I had a conversation with Horten and Stahler beforehand and then went into the meeting promising to resolve their grievances. This meeting had nothing to do with them in the first place. I mean, they might have seen me go in, fine, but this is weird. So I don't entirely. I mean, maybe they're just angry in general at everyone at this point. But okay, so Gus, of course, is trying to weasel around there. Gus, you're not helping. Hold on a moment. President Rain is committed to bringing about real change. His actions and decisions demonstrate this clearly, even if it doesn't fit your narrative. Yeah, that's not helping, Gus. Is that so, Manager? All we've seen are decisions that favor the likes of you and Ewald Alfonso, not the common workers. My point exactly. That's why I've made the decision I've made while talking to him and Alfonso. It's not about narratives, Mr. Manger. It's about ensuring a fair, dignified life for the working class, something your policies have consistently failed to do. Yeah, be angry at Gus. He's an idiot. Okay. Can I step out and saying, yes, exactly, Manger, you're out. We will be opening the position of... We'll be opening the position of Minister for Rural Development very soon. Ms. Horten, you sound qualified. Okay, what kind of options do I have? Change is often slow and gradual, and all solutions are immediate and straightforward. The focus here is not on narrative or images, but on real tangible changes. It's a process. We're on the right track. I understand your skepticism, but I assure you my administration is devoted to bringing about better conditions for our workers. That's probably the closest. What I really would like to say is I'm on the wrong side of the line here. I would like to step down, stand next to Horten and Stahler and saying, yeah, this guy, screw him. You're an academic and a lawyer. What do you really know about the struggles of the working class? Yeah, questioning his communist credentials, probably not a great thing. I understand your skepticism. But I assure you my administration is devoted to bringing about better conditions for our workers. I am devoted to bringing about better conditions for our workers. And these things will be investigated. That's what I would really like to say. I don't think that's going to placate him, though. Your words are compelling in President Rain, but can they truly outweigh the years of corporate dominance? Your intentions sound... Okay, we've turned it around. Your intentions sound noble, but intentions alone don't feed families or pay bill. We need concrete actions. Your neglect of our nation's healthcare system will harm millions. Where have I neglected the nation's healthcare system? Okay. Seriously? What am I missing? How have I neglected the nation's healthcare system? What? Or are they talking about Pascal? We demand that you support the upcoming workers' rights bill. The labor force of Sordland will be watching your next move closely. Furthermore, we want reform, reduce the election threshold, and change the constitution to make a more democratic and fairer nation. Okay, now we're talking. Okay. This was a really weird setup. Like, okay, but now we're getting around to it. Okay, so Katarina, obviously, a labor union, she wants the workers' rights bill. So do I. But I have to review that because Klavin has got his sticky fingers in that, and I have to make sure it's in the right shape before we pass that. And Stahler wants reform and wants to reduce the election threshold, obviously because he's the Communist Party. He wants to get into the assembly, and I agree with that because I think that is going to cost us the Nationals, but we never had their vote anyway. So I'm going to push for that if possible. Okay, let's see. People of Sordland have elected me to lead. I believe it's crucial to trust the government's judgment. So what I'm trying to do here is I need to convince these two that I'm actually on their side. Because I am. I'm honestly standing on the wrong side of the line here. I should be standing with them, having guns pointed at me. I understand the concerns and frustrations many of you have. Rest assured, we are here, we are listening, and we're committed to addressing these issues. Oh God, the corporate speak is... I've heard it so many times during my career, and it really just brushes me the wrong way. We must recognize that our country can't solve all of its problems at once. We're working hard and making progress, but our troubles won't vanish. How dare you speak that way to you ingrates have no idea how much I have sacrificed. What I really would like to say is I can assure you that you have my full support when it comes to anything that has to do with the people of Sordland. Trust the government's judgment? Yeah, nah. We're here, we're listening, we're committed to addressing these issues. We must recognize that our country can't solve all of its... So this is like, look, folks, we can't solve everything at once. This would be to ask for patience. I don't think they have any left. I think too, despite the abrasive phrasing that makes me want to puke, honestly, is what I'm going to have to go with, because it's the only... This is obviously not out of the question. This is a threat. This is asking for patience, which they don't have. This is to tell them to shut up because I'm the president. And they should... and that's obviously... They don't have trust in the government, so telling them that they should have trust in the government, yeah, based on what? So this is the least bad option here, really. So we're going to go with that. Despite the sharp words exchanged, the crowd remained eerily calm. It seemed like they were waiting, their collective breath held in anticipation of something more. Suddenly, a reporter pushed through the crowd, brandishing a microphone towards me. The locals of Narbel have suffered under the impact of Gasom for years. What concrete steps is Gasom going to take for the benefits of the local community? Why are you asking me that? What? What? I don't know. Gasom is not supposed to take any concrete steps for the benefit of the local community. I'm the president, not of Gasom. I'm not involved in Gasom. It's not a state company. What in the world? Okay, I'm honestly baffled at this point. Let's see what options we have. The discussions with Gasom are an ongoing process, and I'm committed to finding the best possible outcome for the workers of Narbel. Why am I discussing with Gasom? What am I discussing with Gasom? I must admit we haven't been able to make as much progress with Gasom as we had hoped. I remain committed to finding a solution. We are in continuous dialogue with Gasom. I remain steadfast in my pursuit for better conditions for Narbel's workers. What? Okay, I'm missing... It almost feels like I skipped something. There must be something that set this up, that I was here? Okay, so I think the missing part... Maybe did I miss something? Or... if like going through this conversation, it's becoming extremely clear that everyone expects, or everyone seems to believe, that I was here to negotiate an end to the labor action, right? To the strike, in order to improve the workers' situation. That's not why I was here. I was here because Meinger organized a meeting with Alfonso at Alfonso's behest, trying to get cash out of the government, investing into his rundown company. Now, this would have obviously effects on the whole thing, but we were never in that kind of negotiation. They were asking for money, basically. And I was never officially part of a delegation from the government to discuss the labor situation with Gazprom. That's not what this meeting was. Why does everybody assume that that's what it was? So I really must have missed something in the game, in the conversation. I can't have missed something. This is weird. Sorry for the confusion on my part, but I'm honestly baffled, and I'm trying very hard to think what I missed here. Like this is this is a labor negotiation between Gazprom and which is not a state company, between Gazprom and the representatives of the union, right? We are in a strike situation. So I really don't see what the government's position on this is. This has nothing to do with me. Okay, so we have many bad options. Let's take the least bad. I'm not going to dignify that with a response. Gazprom has done so much for this shithole region. Yeah, that's obviously out. The other ones are basically the same. So let's take the one that's most pro-worker. Discussions with Gazprom on ongoing process. I'm committed to finding the best possible outcome for the workers of Narbel. I think there are no further discussions with Gazprom. But I am going to find the best possible outcome for the workers of Narbel, because again, Gazprom has to pay them properly. We had a brief moment of sanity in this weird conversation. These two. So we demand the upcoming workers' rights bill. So that's what I'm going to be doing. We want reform, reduce election threshold. We'll talk about that. I must admit, we haven't been able to make as much progress as we had hoped. This makes no sense. We are in continuous dialogue with Gazprom. I remain steadfast in my pursuit of better conditions for Narbel's workers. Yeah, I think that's the least weird answer. So we're going with that. I will push harder in the negotiations. What negotiations? Okay, I've stepped away for a minute, and while I generally, this is a blind playthrough. I was so confused at this point that I did a very, very careful bit of Googling to see if I run into a bug or something. Apparently, and I haven't read on any of the background or possible outcomes or other things, but what I've seen is that there were a large amount of comments of people that said that this conversation is, well, most call it bugged, but other people have run into the same issue and called it just plain weird, in that it was completely not set up from the game. So it seems that indeed the intent was that that Anton is leading, is basically bringing the workers' troubles into the conversation with Gazprom and was negotiating on the workers' behalf. That seems to be the consensus from the few posts that I've read, and This was absolutely not made clear by the game in any way whatsoever, because the setup was completely different. So this is very strange, but apparently, at least I'm not crazy. So, sorry, I don't Google anything generally. The only thing I ever look at is I've ever looked at in the wiki were some history pages as well as the Constitution. But this was so out of left field that I was honestly confused. So okay, so we're in it now. So apparently we're just gonna have to roll with it because, well, apparently Anton didn't know that he was in this kind of negotiation and now has to talk his way out of it. I understand your frustration. Be assured I will push harder in the negotiations. The well-being of Nabal's workers is my priority. The journey may be challenging, but I remain dedicated. Our workers deserve better, and I won't rest until we achieve that. Yes, I like this better, actually, because I don't think there are going to be any more negotiations with Gassom after what happened here. Workers deserve better. I won't rest until we achieve that. At least you're not hiding your lack of progress anymore. Mere determination won't solve the workers' problems. We need results. And until we get them, we will continue to fight. The crowd roared back to life. I could practically feel the raw anger emanating from them. My guards took a step forward. Time is a luxury we don't have, Mr. President. Each passing day is another day our workers suffer under the heel of inequality. I completely agree with you. The undercurrent of unrest swelled, threatening to surge into a full-blown tempest. The previous calm seemed like a distant memory, an illusion shattered by the harsh reality of discontent. A group of figures emerged from the crowd, adorned in unmistakable scarlet attire. The Red Youth had arrived. I'm a former member. Hello, fellow comrades. I am on your side. The sight of them triggered nostalgia, memories of days filled with protests and camaraderie during our time at university. Please, game, please give me the option to raise my fist and shout a Red Youth slogan or something like that. I realized this was no longer a mere protest. It was a symbol of a broader, more potent struggle. The police began reorganizing their ranks, adopting defensive postures. Will you sod off? Could you shed some light on the possible deal between the Swedish government and Gassom? What role does the Kingdom of Risia play in this arrangement? Okay. So the game is now also setting it up such that Risia is effectively taking over Gassom. And this is a really bad thing, which it isn't, because we have the Energy Protection Act in place. And the leadership of Gassom, as we have found out, is basically mostly foreigners already anyway. Okay, we can tell them, so I get to tell them, the government has chosen not to invest at this time. We believe Risia is capable of handling the investment, giving us the opportunity to focus our resources on other pressing issues. Risia has invested in Swordland before, and they will do it once again. I have faith in the kingdom and its vision. This is completely broken. Sorry. I'm at this point I'm mildly frustrated because this also completely came out of left field. This came up during the conversation, and now I suddenly have to defend that? No, that's confidential, ma'am. The president won't divulge any information about his sorry, game, but sorry, sorry, folks. I'm going to need a moment here because at this point, I am legitimately angry at the game and what it has set me up here. This is ridiculous. Close by, I noticed a terse exchange between a security officer from Gassom and a member of the Presidential Guard. Serge craned his neck, his face deep in concentration as he listened to their whispers. The situation is growing increasingly volatile. I recommend that we expedite your departure. We must prioritize your safety. I agree, Serge. And let's get out of here. You're absolutely right, Serge. Let's not stay here any longer than necessary. I'll stay back and handle things here. You should head to safety. Leaving so soon, Rain? I guess you know when you're being defeated. You can't even face your own people, can you, Mr. President? We expected better. This whole situation is just ridiculous. And now I am playing this for the first time. I'm honest. I'm going to say this really honestly at this point. If I had a save game that I could reload, at this point I would reload. Because I feel that the game has trapped me here unfairly in a situation that is absolutely not down to my own misgivings. Because after the bullshit that Gus has pulled, after the conversation with Alfonso, there was no way that Anton, being who he is, would have ever agreed to some slimy deal with the two of them, especially not knowing that that he was apparently speaking for the workers here. So I feel like this is an absolutely unfair entrapment to push me into a sort of bad situation that I had no way of seeing coming. All right, but yeah, like I said, I'm playing this for the very first time. It's the so-called torpor mode, so I have no way of reloading, of loading a save. I generally wouldn't do that. Like if I feel that I honestly made a mistake, then I would not reload a game ever. But this I'm quite invested in the game, and I'm honestly disappointed with this whole affair quite a bit, I have to say. All right, let's see. Least bad option. You speak of double standards and yet fail to understand the complexities of governance. It's easy to criticize. Can we just not say no further comments? Let's leave. What is your true person? Yeah, you shut up. Out of nowhere, a man lunged towards me from the crowd. Before I could react, Serge sprang in front of me. He swiftly tackled the man to the ground and pinned his hand behind his back. Let's get out of here. Yeah, I'm not freezing in panic. I've been in this sort of situation before. Okay, all right, look. As frustrated, honestly, I'm seriously frustrated right now. But as frustrated as I am, I'm going to have to continue, obviously, with the story and see where it leads us. So, deep breath. Let's just assume. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're just going to assume that Anton knew that he was that he was negotiating for the workers. That Anton got overwhelmed by his disdain for Alfonso, and in the end, he threw it, because I think that's what the game's trying to punish me for here, in a way. It's saying, you threw that, you messed it up, and now people are going to die, which I find harsh, but okay. So we'll assume that that's what happened, just for the sake of the story, and we'll continue forward and see where it gets us, because now it comes to violence. So yeah, no one's going to calm down. Freezing in panic doesn't help. Let's get out of here. Serge left the dazed attacker on the ground and turned to the guards with a look of authority he had never seen before. Protect the president! His voice carried over the screams of the crowd. The guards tightened their circle around me, hurriedly pushing me towards the safety of the convoy. Everyone remain calm. Police and security forces rushed into the melee, swinging batons with indiscriminate ferocity. The red youth rushed at them head on. Into the car, Mr. President. We are leaving now. Katrina and Dennis raised their hands in a plea for calm, their words nearly lost amidst the turmoil. Stop the cops! This isn't going to help! Back off, you're only making things worse! The staff and I were swiftly escorted into the convoy. The protesters and police scattered as our vehicles plowed through the crowd. Their screams receded into the background as we left the chaotic scene behind. Okay, so yeah, that could have gone better. And I'm going to end the episode here because honestly, right now I'm a bit too frustrated to continue. I will, of course, continue. The story of Anton will come to its eventual conclusion. And we'll just assume that things got emotional, things got out of hand, and we ended up in. We've done our best, but the volatile situation has overwhelmed us. So I'll see you in the next episode when I'm going to try to I'm trying to un-F this mess that we have gotten ourselves into.